One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Nearby Alexandria, Virginia, has in fact indicted New York Attorney General Letitia James for a single charge of mortgage bank fraud. Make that 2 counts now. We're told that the grand jury was presented by this evidence from the new U.S. Attorney, Lindsay Halligan. And this is what's unusual. She did this herself. It's an extremely unusual move, Brett. It's usually handled by lower-level prosecutors. Halligan, you may recall, is the president's former private attorney. Now, in a statement we just received, Halligan said the charges, as alleged in this case, represent intentional criminal acts and tremendous breaches of the public's trust. James was being probed for alleged paperwork discrepancies on a Brooklyn townhouse in New York and a home in the Commonwealth of Virginia. She has publicly denied any wrongdoing. James, as you know, had successfully sued Mr. Trump, then not as the president, he was then former President Trump, in state court in New York for business fraud, though that decision, of course, is being appealed. And she has long been perceived as a political enemy of the president, having made it a campaign promise to pursue him legally. And as you mentioned, Brett, James has just responded in a statement.
He's forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General.
All this comes just 2 days after former FBI Director James Comey was separately arraigned in federal court, charged by Halligan's office with lying to Congress. His attorneys have vowed to challenge Halligan's authority to serve as temporary U.S. attorney since the time limit for that position has actually passed. The case against James is laced with political undertones. You'll no doubt recall the president himself had urged Attorney General Pam Bondi to go after James, Comey, and Senator Adam Schiff. All fierce critics of the president, all that happening in that social media post last month. Now, Halligan's predecessor is a man by the name of Eric Siebert. He resigned just last month under pressure from the administration. Sources tell us that happened after a months-long investigation into James's alleged mortgage fraud allegations did not then result in any criminal charges. Those sources also tell us, Brett, Siebert was pressured to bring charges that he believed were unwarranted. But as you point out tonight, at least 2 counts of mortgage bank fraud for Letitia James, Brad.
All right, so they're going to say that now that President Trump targeted Big Letty. Big Letty is now under federal indictment for mortgage fraud. And the alternative that you're going to hear in the next few days is that he's targeting his political adversaries, opponents, or whatever. That's really weak. You know, having been in real estate myself for 25, 30 years and bought all kinds of property, it's very easy, and I've told you guys this many times, it's very easy to see and prove mortgage fraud. Because unlike other crimes, somebody breaks a window, somebody beats you up and steals something, you got to prove it. You got to prove this too, but the proof is right in front of you on documents. Those documents you took your own hand, unless somebody grabbed a hold of your wrist and they made you sign the paper. I doubt that's what she can lodge that as a defense. She signed these documents. You can't say I messed up. It wasn't my intent to steal this money. It wasn't my intent to defraud the government. You're gonna not believe some of the stuff I'm going to show you, that the left is contorting themselves at this point to try and already get her off the case. Now, one of the interesting things that Kevin from Fox was just talking about was, and you'll hear this on the news, is that no real prosecutor would have ever brought these charges. Well, that's because they didn't want to. Because they didn't want to do it. They were trying to suppress it. And they're making a big deal that Lindsay Halligan, she was the one who had to do it herself because all of the other ones either got fired or wouldn't do it. Complete insubordination. And so she went into court and got this indictment. Doesn't mean she's guilty. Doesn't mean she's going to get convicted. But it does mean she's going to have to defend it. Luckily for her, I want to show you this pretty quick. Luckily for her, the state of New York, through Kathy Hochul, has somehow put together a $10 million slush fund for Letitia James. The people of New York are going to have to pay for Letitia James' defense. How is that legal? Number one. Number two, how are the people in New York feeling about $10 million of their money going to fight her legal battles? You see, they knew this was coming. It wasn't an if, it was when. And they've tried to stave it off as much as they possibly can to make sure it didn't happen. And here it is now in October, and it has happened. We all knew it was coming. They knew it was coming. Letitia James knew it was coming. But they didn't realize that Lindsay Halligan, by herself, would be able to do this. And not by herself, by the way. They're going to make it seem like she was a rogue prosecutor that just went and did it herself. Now, there's a team, of course. So let's start with the front end of that team. The front end of that team is obviously Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi says, one tier of justice for all Americans. One of the things that's really funny about what you're hearing is, I've said this many times, the only way you could be a Democrat is to have no ability to have any memory. They're forgetting Roger Stone. They're forgetting Steve Bannon, Paul Manafort, and on and on and on. They're forgetting what this actual woman did to President Trump. I live by the bird flies, probably 17 to 20 miles from dead center Mar-a-Lago. It's right there. And she tried to say that Mar-a-Lago, one of the most impressive properties in the country, if not the world, it was overvalued and it was only worth $18 million. And there were so many people in the media who tried to harp on that as if it was real. And everybody I know, including Democrats, these people believe this? It was a joke. It was a joke from the strongest liberal person I'd ever met. Well, I don't know what she's talking about. 18 million. And I've shown you before, you can go on Zillow. You can't buy dirt. You can't buy an empty lot near Mar-a-Lago. Just the dirt. For under 30, 40, 50 million dollars. Just the lot. If you can find one. And then you definitely can't find one where it fronts the ocean and the intercoastal. All that land that property sits on. It would cost you literally probably $300 million just to buy land to compile to build something like Mar-a-Lago. Everybody's known it. Every single one of these people who've come down here on vacation, who've probably driven by it, they don't say that though. But you literally could go on Zillow right now and go into Palm Beach and look for vacant land in Palm Beach. John Bon Jovi bought a house there recently. Well, no, it's not recently, but about a year or two ago. All kinds of big money people, world money people, try to get properties on Palm Beach Island. It is not for rich people. Rich people cannot live on Palm Beach Island. Only wealthy people can live on Palm Beach Island. The kind of people who pay the rich people. Rush Limbaugh's house was down the street before he passed away. Sean Hannity, he owns a property there. He owns a townhouse that I think he paid $10 million for. We're talking the top of the top of the top of property in the entire country. The only area that probably is more expensive because it's smaller is where Ivanka and Jared live, and Tom Brady has a house down there, down in, I forget the island off of the coast of Miami. Not Singer, I forget the name. This property, that you couldn't touch it, but nobody said anything. Everybody looked the other way. Everybody pretended as though everything made sense. And when I say everyone, every single person down here, you're like, 18 million? I wish I could buy a house on Palm Beach Island for 18 million. If put it this way, if they had taken that property from President Trump, and if they had put that property on the market for 18 million, they probably would have had 500 offers at 10 times the price overbidding. But nobody complained. Nobody even thought to tell her, you're being stupid. And then what did they do? Then they fined him $400 million. But, Big Letty, you're going to be okay because the state of New York is going to have to, pay up for you. I'm not saying she'll be convicted. More than likely, she probably won't. Luckily, she drew a Biden judge, a black Biden judge, which to me is absurd. It shouldn't matter whether you're appointed by a Republican or a Democrat. Shouldn't matter if you're black or white in normal times. In normal times, you would go before a judge because the judge would have scales on his eyes because justice is blind. In normal times. But we are no longer in normal times. We passed that exit many, 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 many miles back. We are in a whole different atmosphere right now. We're in a completely different legal ecosystem where you'll look the other way if it's one of the people on your side. But you'll try to hang anybody who's not on your side. So she'll probably get something easy. She'll probably, I would, unfortunately, my chagrin here is she'll probably win. But at least they're making the attempt to show people that they mean business. And one of the problems she's going to have is that there are too many people who buy property. Way too many people who buy property. And if you let this woman get away with mortgage fraud, with what she's done, how are you ever going to prosecute anybody who lies on their mortgage application? You'll never be able to do it. That precedent may be the saving grace of her going to jail. Because that Pandora's box that you open up, and I'm telling you, having been in real estate, everybody is very meticulous when they come in with their appraisals and their insurance and their estimates and their contracts, because you don't want to run afoul. You want to make sure that everything is correct. So I'm going to take you through it almost like you're the grand jury. You are on the grand jury. Before I get into the liberal videos, I want to take you through the case. And I want you to see for yourself what exactly is happening, because more than likely, you're not going to hear it on the news. And I'm going to show you, as I normally do, how you can look it up yourself. And how you can find, whoa, that looks pretty good. Yeah, it's right there. So let's go to this. First and foremost, I showed you what Attorney General Pam Bondi said, and I wanted to show you what Kash Patel and Dan Bongino said. Kash Patel says there simply can't be and will not be different rules for different people. One system of law and order from this FBI. And Dan echoed it and says without fear or favor. I think we all can agree that's how it should be. There shouldn't be two-tiered. You see, the fact of the matter is right now the Democrats are feeling weird because all of a sudden things are looking equitable in terms of the legal system, and they can't do that. When you are so used to favoritism, when you are so used to getting your way, equity seems like it's a punishment. What do you mean you're going to indict Comey and you're going to indict Tish James? You know who's really worried right now? You know there's somebody sitting on tampons probably, or big sanitary napkins. You know who that probably is? Adam Schiff. Tonight, pray to God and say, at least I'm not Adam Schiff. Because as he sat back and he's watched this stuff play out, and he remembers the email or the True Social post that everybody's talking about. Let me show that to you real quick. Where is that one? Do I have it? Yeah, okay. This is what President Trump said to, and everyone's making a big deal of this. I want you to take a look at it. It says, Pam, you remember this? Pam, I reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially same old story as last time. All talk, no action. Nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam Shifty Schiff, and Letitia? Well, interesting. There's 3 names there and 2 of them have gone down. You're on deck, Adam. You're on deck, bro. They're coming for you. How's it feel? They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. Then we almost put in a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past, a woke rhino who is never going to do his job. That's why 2 of the worst Democrat senators pushed him so hard. He even lied to the media and said he quit and that we had no case. Well, he had no case, and how did she get indicted? Nope, I fired him, and there is a great case, and many lawyers and legal pundits say so. Lindsay Halligan is a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. He's talking to Pam Bondi. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. Now, this is going to be shown on a loop on CNN and MSNBC, and it's going to also be used in the defense of Letitia and James Comey. They will use this and try to say that what they're doing was selective prosecution and he was specifically going after his opponents / enemies. That is what they are going to allege. Count on it. And by him putting this out there and putting this hardcore True Social out there, some people are saying he hit the wrong button and it was posted in error. Trump doesn't make those kind of errors. And so they're going to use this. They're going to use it and say she only indicted him because Trump told her to. But does it matter? See, that's the question at this point. Even if Trump told Lindsay Halligan or Pam Bondi, you must indict them. He didn't say that, by the way. even if he said that, does that make the breaking of the law less important? If I know that you burned down a house and I tell somebody, you need to go arrest that person, does that mean that you should get off because I'm the one who told on you? I gave somebody an instruction? Because that's not how law works. If you did it, you did it. Doesn't matter if somebody was pissed off. Doesn't matter if President Trump pushed the button on you. You did it. You see, the Democrat Party for so long has tried to let people know they have no personal accountability. It's always somebody else's fault. When you're watching the media over the next 24 to 48 hours, listen if they say it's her fault. She did it. There are a few I've seen already, or some lawyers who are on television like that, they got a good case. See, a lot of the people jump to conclusions without seeing the indictment. So I've showed you what Pam Bondi said and what Kash Patel have said. And this is something else that popped up. Roger Stone put this up. Federal prosecutors in Virginia had uncovered no clear evidence to prove that James had knowingly committed mortgage fraud when she purchased a home in the state in 2023. This is what ABC News said. Trump poised to fire U.S. attorney for resisting effort to charge New York AG Letitia James. Trump officials had pushed Eric Siebert to bring criminal charges. And inside the article, they're saying that there's no evidence. Funny. I found it. I'm not a U.S. attorney. I found it. It's pretty easy to see. This is false, as Roger Stone says. There's overwhelming evidence of mortgage fraud, tax fraud, and insurance fraud by James. Siebert is resisting charging James because he fears that his appointment will not be approved by Virginia's 2 Democrat senators. So he was trying to appease these people. Again, you can actually see it. So without further ado, let's get to some documentation so you guys can see it as well. So let me go ahead and, all right, first I want to show you this by Bill Pulte. Bill Pulte is the new chairman of the Federal Housing Finance Administration, and he was the one who referred Letitia James to Pam Bondi, to the Department of Justice. This is what he wrote. He's talking about paragraph 10, I believe this is in the indictment. James filed Schedule E tax forms, and maybe you don't know what Schedule E tax forms. This morning I told you, wait, let me back up. I told you this morning that even the worst liberal Democrat follows conservative fiscal policies. You remember me saying that? I told you that they do things that they publicly say you shouldn't do. Well, one of those things is she used Schedule E tax forms under penalty of perjury, treating the Perone property, as one of the properties she bought, as rental real estate, reporting fair rental days, 0 personal use days, thousands of dollars in rents received, and claiming deductions for expenses relating to the property, further contradicting the second home clarification. See, these are all things you can easily prove. And they're all going out, there's no evidence. I'm like, well, it's right there. So let's go to, let's first look at the press release that Lindsay Halligan put out. I don't want this to be too dry for you, but it's important because, where did that go? It's important because I know a lot of people aren't going to talk about it. A lot of people won't show you the actual documentation and the information. They'll just keep talking and pretending like it's no big deal. All right, so let me go to screen number, what number screen? We're going to go to screen number, where's my screen? Okay, we're going to go to screen 32. Let's go to screen 32. Is that the right one? Let's see here. Let me just move this around and make it so it fits into screen 32. I'm so sorry, but these are big documents and they all just won't fit on things. All right, so this is from the Department of Justice website. Let me move this way so you can see me. All right. Okay. New York State Attorney General indicted Lindsay Halligan, U.S. Attorney for... Oh, still too big. Let me pull it in there. Okay. There we go. Now you can actually see it on screen. Lindsay Halligan, U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, announced today that a federal grand jury returned an indictment charging New York State Attorney General Letitia James with bank fraud under 18 U.S.C. Section 1344 and false statements to a financial institution under 18 U.S.C. Section 1014. So she's laying out the charges right here. Here are the laws that she actually broke, the federal laws that she actually broke. Quote, no one is above the law. The charges as alleged in this case represent intentional criminal acts and tremendous breaches of public's trust, said U.S. Attorney Halligan. The facts in the law in the case are clear, and we will continue following them to ensure that justice is served. If convicted, Letitia James faces penalties including up to 30 years in prison per count. So if she were to get convicted, it's likely she could go away forever. Up to $1 million of fine on each count and forfeiture. Actual sentences for federal crimes are typically less than the maximum penalties. A federal district court judge, Biden appointed, will determine any sentence after considering the U.S. sentencing guidelines and the statutory factors. An indictment is merely an accusation. The defendant is presumed innocent until proven guilty. So that's the press release. Now let's take a minute and actually look at the actual charging document. Charging document meaning indictment. That you can go to the Department of Justice and actually pull this up. It's not private. Anybody can see it. Everybody can read every line of this, and that's what we're going to do right now. All right. Here is the document. This is the actual charging document against Letitia James. And you can see it right now. So let's go to paragraph 1. Paragraph 1. Letitia James was a resident of Brooklyn, which is important because now we have to say, where does she live? Because you have to lay out the indictment to show that there's a crime. And she was the borrower on a Fannie Mae backed mortgage loan for the property located on Perone Avenue in Norfolk, Virginia. Interesting. She's a resident of New York, because she's the Attorney General of New York, but she's got a property in Norfolk, Virginia, that she's saying is her personal residence. Okay. Let us now continue. OVM Financial, known as Old Virginia Mortgage, was a mortgage lending business located in Virginia Beach. Engaged in the business of originating and underwriting residential mortgage loans, including those backed by Fannie Mae, and OVM is qualified as a financial institution with under the meaning with 18 USC 2010. All right, so we're getting into weeds here. OVM, whatever mortgage, what was it called? Old Virginia Mortgage, was a Fannie Mae certified and approved lender. Fannie Mae, FNMA. Fannie Mae meaning government-backed loan, which makes it a federal crime if you're doing a fraudulent loan. See, I can give you a loan for your house, or your dad can give you a loan for your house, and you can tell your dad you make $100,000, and it's really going to be hard to prove fraud in that regard. But this is a Fannie Mae-backed loan, which means all the documentation, every signature you make, says, I understand under penalty of perjury. I understand under penalty of fraud that what I'm saying here is true. So you may be saying to yourself right now, well, Barry, why would someone who's the Attorney General of a large state openly, with full intent, commit mortgage fraud? Well, the only reason somebody would do that, number one, they're stupid. Number two, they don't think they're ever going to get caught. They think that this is just how it is, and nobody's ever going to look. Think about it. I work with home title lock, and I talk to you guys about, people stealing titles and different things. And the entire process of recording a deed and recording a title and recording a promissory note and a mortgage is very tedious. And people, when you buy a house, if you purchased a house, you're signing and signing and signing and signing. It could be 100 or 200 pages or more. And and they all got to be originals. And so now, in order for someone to find it, they have to pour through all of these pages because it's public record. The bank can decide which documents they want to file and make public record. Sometimes because it's Fannie Mae, they'll show a little bit more. They'll go ahead and possibly sanitize your Social Security number and some personal information. But for the most part, it's all right there. And if you know what you're looking for, you can pretty much find it all the time, which is why people, especially down here, own properties in LLCs. The whole idea is to buy property not in your personal name. I'll go over that one day in the prosperity talks. So let's continue. Hope that you understand that so far. Number 3, Fannie Mae. Where am I? Number 3, Fannie Mae was a federally chartered corporation that purchased and guaranteed mortgages, operating as a government-sponsored enterprise under the oversight of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, FHFA. This is where Bill Pulte comes in. Because when you're putting these documents together, you have to show, why is this document even before me? What are we looking at here? Well, here's the borrower, here's the bank. It was Fannie Mae, and it came under the auspices of Bill Pulte. And that's now they're basically dropping the bricks to build this house of indictment, per se. And I don't mean to be talking slow or implying anybody's stupid. I just want to make sure everybody understands where we're going here, because you're not going to hear it from anybody. All right, so number 4, First Savings Banks was a state-chartered, FDIC-insured federal institution, federal FDIC, Federal Deposit, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. That's a division of the government that makes sure your money can't get stolen up to a certain amount. All right, so we're good there. All right, so they're headquartered in Jeffersonville, Indiana, which acquired mortgage loans through assignment or acquisition. First Savings Banks qualified as a financial institution with the meaning of 18 USC. So what this is telling me is that they ended up buying, this is where it starts getting kind of deep. Another bank bought the paper. When you hear the term bought the paper, you would be amazed how many times a loan is sold to other people before, and if you've ever been late on a loan and you get a call from, I'm calling from Charter Financial. Who? Charter Financial. I'm talking about your mortgage. I don't have a mortgage with you. Yeah, you do now. We bought it. We own that mortgage that you're sitting in, and so we're now the fiduciary who's charged with collecting it. And they get sold all the time in things called tranches. All right, so now they're bringing in the person who the loan was assigned to. Number 5, on August 17th, James, as sole borrower, purchased a 3-bedroom, 1-bath property, in the Penrose property, or Perone, for approximately $137,000. Let me stop there. How sad is it that if she gets convicted, you got convicted for buying a slum property? You bought a property for $117,000. You might go to jail for that? I mean, swing big. Tell me you bought $1 million property. You bought a house worth $137,000. You might go to jail on it? You deserve to go to jail, girl. Wow. She financed it with a mortgage loan of approximately $109,000 backed by Fannie Mae. All right, so I want you to do the math on that. Let me do it for you, because this is where it starts getting interesting. Well, at least for me, because I'm into finance. So what you just heard was She bought a house, and she bought that house for $137,000. $137,000. And she got a loan for $109,000. Okay, so let's see what that was. 109 divided by 137. She got a loan for 80%. You following me here? She got an 80% loan to buy this house. She had to come up with the $30,000 or so to buy it. You know who gets 80% loans? Homeowners. That's where it starts getting kind of, wait a minute. So you got an 80% loan guaranteed by the government, and you got it because you said this was going to be your primary residence, which means the bank also they gave you a higher loan to value, LTV. I really hope I'm not putting you guys in the dust here. And then you get a lower interest rate because, it's where you live. Most people where they live are more trustworthy than when you're making investment properties. Investment properties, people might lose them and go, yeah, it happened. So stick with me on that one. All right, so let's continue, and we're going down this road. The loan was originated by OVM under a signed second home rider, which required James as a sole borrower property to, quote, occupy and use the property as her secondary residence, and prohibited its use as a time-sharing, like an Airbnb, or other shared ownership arrangement on agreement that requires her either to rent the property or give any other person any control over the occupancy or use of the property. Easy rules. Number 7, despite those representations, the Perrone property was not occupied or used by James as a secondary residence and was instead used as a rental investment property, renting the property to a family of 3. So you see what's going on here? Are you following along? I hope so. You bought the property under certain terms and conditions, knowing with full intent you never intended on fulfilling those terms and conditions. That is fraud. On the face, it's fraud. When people say there's no that's your evidence. If she never used it for its intended proper use, it's fraud. Unless she rented it out for income. Can't do that. All right, so let's continue. This misrepresentation allowed James to obtain favorable loan terms not available for investment properties, including a note rate. Oh, wait a second. She must know Lisa Cook. She got a rate of 3%. 3%. Resulting in approximately $17,000, almost $18,000 in rate savings over the life of the loan, a seller credit of approximately $3,200, exceeding the seller credit for investment properties by approximately $1,000. All right, okay. A seller credit. Hey, listen, the house needs painting, so at closing, you can take $3,000 off the purchase price. We'll credit to you so that you can then do the painting on your own. Except you're only allowed a $1,000 credit, and she took, what was it, $3,300. See, this sounds minuscule to you because it's only $3,300. Doesn't matter. A little bit of fraud is still fraud. You can't be a little bit pregnant. You either are or you aren't. You still broke the law. You're going to hear that euphemism too. It's just a little bit. It was only $100,000. What's a big deal? At 3%. All right, so let's continue. For total ill-gotten gains of approximately $19,000 over the life of the loan. James' universal property application for homeowners occupied non-seasonal use, further misrepresenting the intended use of the property. Anybody still here? You guys still awake? Did I put you to sleep yet? James filed, this is what you read on Bill Pulte's post, she filed Schedule E tax form under penalties of perjury. Now, you may not know what that means. I signed a form that said I'm doing it under penalty of perjury. What does that mean? You may not know. She's Attorney General. She can't say, I didn't know. I'm black. I'm sorry, I'm a black woman. I didn't know. No, you are an Attorney General. You know exactly what those words mean. And you signed it anyway. All right, so let's continue. Almost done here. 11, the loan was acquired or assigned to First Savings Banks. That's why I was telling you how they sell the loans, exposing it to risk associated with the misrepresented loan. So now, here's what happens. On top of, and how it compounds, on top of the fact that you lied to get the loan, you also ended up misrepresenting to the mortgage holder. I'm buying this loan. If you never bought a mortgage, let me just tell you, it's as negotiable as property. You can buy mortgages. Did you know that? It's another investment vehicle. You can just go to banks, depending on what your relationship is, and you're like, I'd like to buy that note. Now that note that was there, we know the note was for $109,000. You can then offer the bank, hey, listen, I'll give you 85 or 90 for this loan. And it's, depending on your relationship with the bank, they may dump it. Why do they do it? Because the bank needs the cash back so they can lend it back out again. Don't want to get in the weeds here. Might be too late for that. So anyway, it ends up defrauding the person who bought the loan, the second owner of the loan. So now we'll continue. The loan was acquired by First Bank. The acts described herein occurred within the Eastern District of Virginia. That is stated to give you jurisdiction. Where did it happen? Because that's the court where we need to go talk to. Follow me? Count one. Before I go to count one, let me stop there before we go any further. It might be a good idea, Barry, to stop and start taking some comments, because people may be watching this and going, I don't know what the hell is happening. So with that, let me talk to you. Southern Cat Lady says, fraud is fraud. In her position, she should have known better than to even begin to try this crap. Exactly. Barry, you're doing a great job of explaining everything about this. Not to worry about boring us. Most of us normal, everyday people are easy. All right, thank you. Georgia says, I find this fascinating. Thank you. I mean, I thought long and hard. I had a different show planned for tonight. I was going to do a rumble jump over and everything. I'm like, I need to talk to people, but before I start playing like videos and everything, I need to because I know what the bombastic way they're going to talk about it on television, but they're not going to break it down for you. They're not going to show you exactly what she did and how she did it and why it's easy to determine. So Lindsay Halligan, when she strutted into court, it was pretty simple. Look, what I'm doing right now is what she probably did to the grand jury. And to the point where you're like, well, she can't, because imagine you're sitting on a grand jury. Is that illegal? Yeah, you can't do that. Oh. So she signed it? Yeah, she signed it. How does she know? She's an attorney general. Oh. Yeah, lock that bitch up. Excuse me, did I say that loud? Common sense dictates. Yes, it is. It does. It's crazy. What an upside down world we live in. Yeah, she did know better. Of course she knew better. Don't let anyone over the next couple of days tell you anything else. All right, so don't want to keep you here all night, so let me continue with count one. Because the only point we're at right now is we're laying out the case so everybody can see what the case actually is. So now let's look at the actual counts. And here we go. Count one, bank fraud, 18 USC 1344. So you're sitting on a grand jury, and I come to you, hey, Miss and Mrs. Grand Jury people, this is what she did. That's what I just told you. All right, now I understand what she did. How is it wrong? Well, she violated USC 1344. Well, what the hell is USC 1344? Well, it says the allegations in paragraph 1 through 12 are realleged and incorporated herein, meaning it falls under this umbrella. And it goes from on or about August 7th, through at least January 24, the Eastern District of Virginia and elsewhere, the defendant did knowingly execute an attempt to execute a scheme and artifice to defraud OVM Financial, blah, 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 and to obtain monies, funds, and credits owed by and under the custody and control by means of false and fraudulent pretenses, misrepresentations, and promises. It's a whole mouthful to she lied. That whole paragraph, what does all this mean? It means she lied. She lied to get the loan. Oh, all right, now I understand. False pretenses and representations and all this other stuff. Yeah, so she lied to get the money. Gotcha. I can understand that much better, Miss Halligan. All right, so number 15. The scheme falsely involved representing the Peroni property as a secondary residence to obtain favorable mortgage terms, while using it as an investment property with no intended or actual personal occupancy by law, which is in violation of Title 18 U.S. Code 1344. So she here's what happened, here's why it's bad, and here's the law that she violated. Very simple. She did this? Yes. She did that? Yes. Is that against the law? Yes. What law? USC Section 1344. Here's the law. I'm sure she had to bring it out and put it on the screen. Here is what 18 Section 1344 says. Oh, okay. So now everyone in the grand jury room is like, okay. And I'm probably sure there were people in the grand jury who have purchased homes before, and they're realizing, yeah, I didn't get 3%. I didn't get all those favorable rates. I didn't get that for the house I'm living in. Some of those people said. All right, so now we're going to go to count 2. Count 2 is here. False statements to a financial institution. 18 U.S.C. Section 1014. False statements. You lied. The allegations in paragraph 1 through 12, we're just bringing them back and putting them under this umbrella now. And under this umbrella, it says from same dates, actually July to 2020, in the Eastern District of Virginia, and what's it say here? Elsewhere, Letitia James did knowingly make and cause to be made false statements and reports for the purpose of influencing the action of OMV, a financial Fannie Mae Mac lender. Okay, what they're saying right there is she knowingly lied to influence the bank. Influence. If I say this, they're going to give me better rates. Yeah, we're going to do this. It's all good. Okay, we'll give you a 3% rate because it's backed by the government. See, that's where her big mistake was. She got a government-backed mortgage. All right, so upon an application for a loan in that James represented and affirmed in uniform residential loan applications. All right, so universal loan application. Some of you guys may not know, you may not have a loan, but you can also Google Form 1003. I believe it's 1003. 1003, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is, which is the same. It's a universal loan application, and you have to state all these different things in the loan application. All right, so let's continue with this. And related documents that the Peroni property would be used as a secondary residence when in truth and fact, as James then knew, meaning that this had malice aforethought. She knew going into this, she was not going to live as her second residence. She was going to rent it out the entire time. That is what's going to be the hurdle that they're going to have to prove that intent. That one paragraph. When in truth and fact, she knew then the property was intended to be used as investment property with no intended or actual personal property or personal occupancy by her, which is another violation. So I'm pretty much certain her attorneys are going to say she did not do it as her intention. Her intention was to do that, but something changed. The problem with that is, and about page 99, clause L, paragraph 42, there's a clause in the mortgage that says if there's any change, you need to let us know. If for some reason you can't uphold what you've told us, you need to let us know. We'll let you know if it's okay and if we're going to approve it. I'm positive that is in it. I've never gotten a Fannie Mae loan, but I'm positive that is spelled out. Terms and conditions. In that 100 pages, there is going to be something, me and my husband got divorced, or I lost my job and I had to rent it out. Okay, call us. Tell us. We'll work with you. Something changed. So it's going to be very hard for her to use that as a defense. Where are we? So we're at what's called a forfeiture notice. Now this is getting interesting. Pursuant to Federal Rule of Criminal Procedures and blah, 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 upon conviction of the offenses in the accounts of 1, 2, the defendant, Letitia James, shall forfeit to the United States any property constituting or derived from proceeds obtained directly or indirectly as a result of such violations, including but not limited to a money judgment in the amount of $18,993. So what that means is, if you took money, now it's a small sum, so she probably didn't do much, but now it's going to give them the opportunity to look through her bank records. Supposedly, I've heard rumors, I've seen things, you guys can research it yourself. Supposedly, Letitia James is worth like $10-15 million. Where the hell did she get $10 or $15 million? That's what it says out there in terms of her net worth. If you got $10 or $15 million, $120,000 for an investment property is pocket change. Why didn't you just write a check for it? Something ain't smelling right. Why would you go through all this trouble to buy an investment property for pocket change if you got that kind of jack? Is that a lie? Which part's a lie? I don't know. But I know if I had $20 million sitting in the bank and I was looking at, for some reason, a $130,000 house, it'd be like, here, take it. Why would she have bothered with a Fannie Mae loan? Because now they're going to start come looking. They're going to find out what did you do with the proceeds of that money. If any of the property described above as a result of any action or omission of the defendant cannot be located upon the exercise, and this is where they put the microscope up your butt, due diligence has been transferred or sold to, deposited with a third party, has been placed beyond a jurisdiction, blah, 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 has been substantially diminished in value, has been commingled with other properties, blah, blah, blah. We're coming for you. We're coming for you. Anything you did financially, if you commingled, anything here, we're coming for you. Signed, Lindsay Halligan. Yeah, it's real. It's absolutely real. And it's beautiful. Beautiful. These people can all scream whatever they want. I don't care. Let me show you a couple of things. What's this one here? This is... I just showed you that. Haven't showed you this. There's some more evidence. These were in the file as well. These are the files, the actual certificate of occupancy and use of the buildings. And if you go into the complaint and see this, you can see clearly, yeah, she defrauded them from the get-go. Well, this one's going to come back to haunt her. When powerful people cheat, she actually wrote this. When powerful people cheat to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. Everyday Americans cannot lie to a bank to get a mortgage. And if they did, our government would throw the book at them. There simply cannot be different rules for different people. And you're worried what Trump posted? Seriously? You're worried what Trump said, and you got stuff like this hanging out there. Meanwhile, President Trump was going after her. This is when he introduced, first time Lindsay Halligan was coming into the scene. And then he posted this. Corrupt Letitia James is costing New York State hundreds of billions of dollars in lost business. No company or individual wants to be there. Knowing that she's the Attorney General, she is a complete and total disaster who tried running against Kathy Hochul and only got 1% of the vote in polls and quit. She then went back to witch hunt President Trump and others until this scum is removed from the Attorney General's office. No company will move to New York, and few companies will be using the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ for going public. The new Texas exchange will be taking all of their business, and we're talking hundreds of billions of dollars. So we're about to see some very interesting things happen with this case. We're going to see people on the left complaining that it's no big deal. We're going to see people on the right complaining that, should we make this a big deal? And you got to wonder when you hear those people say that. When you hear people say stuff like, I think Trump's gone too far. That's because they probably have some sort of skeletons in their closet. And I can tell you right now, there's going to be a whole lot of people at this point who are going to be looking into Adam Schiff, because he's next on the list. This is going to get big, crazy. We are the counter-revolutionists, my friends. The problem is a lot of judges and juries are bought off. She might get a rigged trial and be found innocent. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, again, the judge that's going to be doing her case is a black man who was appointed by Biden. And I said that earlier, that shouldn't matter. But in this climate, it does. It does for sure. It matters. What? Oh, heck no. If these criminals don't go to jail, this country is worse than anyone thinks. And that's what I wanted to show you. How did this woman pass the bar? That's a good question. I don't even know. So I just spent, it took me an hour. I just spent the better part of an hour just laying out the case because I understand what's going to happen next. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of people out there who are talking out their wazoo, out their butt, and they're not going to be showing you the actual documents. It's going to be a lot of emotion, a lot of blah, 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 hate Trump, hate Trump. When it all boils down to it doesn't really matter about your opinion. It's right here. If I didn't know what Letitia James had done to Donald Trump, it still wouldn't matter. I'm looking at the documents. And I understand it's only $137,000. I understand it's only $18,000 of funds that are being fungible. I understand it. To some people, that's going to be so little. It's so insignificant. To other people, it's like, I can't do it. I can't get a 3% loan with 80% loan to value with a $3,000 seller credit and then be able to rent it out. By the way, who the hell's living in Virginia in a $137,000 house? And this is just the first one. See, I want to make sure you understand there's more coming. She's done some serious stuff. At this point, when they started talking about the commingling, she's gonna have to bend over and spread those big butt cheeks. They're coming for you. This is probably bigger than Comey's because it's so cut and dry. And Adam Schiff, you're next, bro. You're next. All right, so let's get into some of the videos.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass.
I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president.
We need to focus on Donald Trump. We need to follow his money.
What is fueling my soul right now is Trump.
This illegitimate president. I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, and then going home.
NBC News has exclusively learned that the newly elected incoming New York Attorney General plans to launch some sweeping investigations into President Trump, into his family. Letitia James tells NBC News, quote, "We will use every area of the law to investigate President Trump and his business transactions and that of his family as well." She plans to look into the following: Donald Trump's real estate holdings in New York, that June 2016 Trump Tower meeting with a Russian official, any government subsidies that Donald Trump received, whether he's in violation of the Emoluments Clause, the Trump Foundation.
Do you find it odd that she's looking into a mirror? She's looking, what she did to President Trump, she actually did it herself. She was the criminal. And now they got the goods on her, And I don't think she understands what's coming.
My mission is clear. I'm focused. I'm prepared. I'm ready. I've been trained by the best. I went to Howard University. That overturned legal segregation in this country. I've been taught in those classrooms where Thurgood Marshall once taught. I'm not afraid of no president. Donald Trump, we're ready for you. We're coming for you. We're standing up for you. We're fighting on. We're not going down silent. Victory, my friends, is clear. It's now. And I'm not waiting 4 years. I'm waiting 2 until a speaker by the name of Hakeem Jeffries comes to bring us some rest. Come on, ladies. It's up to us. We saved this democracy before. We'll save it now. Let's go.
So she's talking about the 2026 election, about Hakeem Jeffries is going to bring you some rest. You people are delusional. Absolutely delusional. Crazy delusional.
Civil. But I will come back before you soon with a check for $250 million. And to let you know that he is no longer allowed to do business in the state of New York. Yeah, we've got a special charge to show up and stand up for one another.
Meanwhile,
Kristen, I understand we have some legal breaking news.
Yeah, we have just learned that New York Attorney General Letitia James, who obviously brought the charges and won against President Donald Trump, has just been indicted by the Department of Justice. This was a case that President Trump wanted to be brought. It's a mortgage fraud case, and it's also what led to the leaving of the U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia. Eric Siebert would not bring these charges. We heard he had reservations about bringing these charges, and instead he left that position, and President Trump handpicked Lindsay Halligan to serve as the U.S. Attorney in that district.
Okay, so they look like they went to a funeral. They're realizing right now, oh, he's really doing this stuff, isn't he? Yup, he's coming for you. This is what we voted for. Every single one of us voted for this. And there's actually some rhinos out there, like maybe we shouldn't be going after people like this. Why not? Why are there just certain laws that people on the left can do whatever they want? It's not a big deal. It's only $117,000, $130,000. Why are we worried about that? And like somebody else in the chat said, it's a lot of money to some people. Just because you guys are blowing it off, that people just can't go get 80% loans. Wait till they start going through the application. There's so much. The reason I mentioned for you to go look at the 1003 form, there's so much information on that form. I'm betting you there's more lies there. You see, that when they do the grand jury submission, they don't give you everything because they know people like me and other people can see it. They can, oh, okay. They give you enough to get the indictment. They're not going to give you all the evidence. And so understand, if that's what you know right now, there's more fire under that smoke. A lot more fire under that smoke. Go ahead and pull up a 1003 form. And when you look at that 1003 form, look at all that stuff that they're asking you, front and back, 2 or 3 pages. And on the bottom, look at the signature and what it says. And so everything she put on that form, that 1003 form that they mentioned in the indictment, better be true. Otherwise, you got more stuff coming. And that's what I think they're really worried about, because it can only get better. Same thing with Adam Schiff. No different. It's coming for him. I'm telling you, it's definitely coming. All right, so I want to tell you real quick about Patriot Addict and the new deal they have with the knives. And let me just make sure I'm not saying the wrong thing. Yes, this is correct. Many of you have seen me talk about the Trump red knife. And as I talked about the Trump red knife, and I do my demonstration, which I will, I've also showed you, this is the Trump signature knife. Let me open this up. Hold on. I don't have fingernails, so it's sometimes hard for me to open these things. And this is the Trump red knife. I mean, signature knife here. Get my fingers under here. Okay, there we go. And there's the other knife. The thing with this is now what Patriot Addict is doing, because you guys here are in the Fanfare family, you're going to get both of these knives. Not just one, both. If you haven't seen them, the functionality is pretty much the same. It says Trump on it right now. You pull it open. It's assisted. It locks. It's got good balance, good weight. It's a large knife, very, very sharp knife. That one's even sharper, I think. It's got the window breaker right there. And it also has a seatbelt slicer if you get stuck in a car. And then you've got the unlock or lock thing that you can do real quickly, especially if you're a knife aficionado. You get both these knives. If you go ahead and click right here on the QR code, you get both knives. Not one, you get two, just for the cost of shipping. Together, they would normally retail for about 140 bucks. But if you want one of those knives, or rather both of them, you can get one for your friend. You can keep one. All you got to do is go to the QR code and put your information in and just pay the shipping. You don't have to pay the 140, 150 bucks, just the shipping, and it's yours. And just because you guys here are part of the Fanfare family. So I thank Patriot Addict for their assistance here. But you can get both those knives for free. Free. Enjoy that. Enjoy that. So I will be right back in about, I think it's 60 seconds. 90 seconds.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Townsend and Michael Steele. Tonight, our hour is focused on the indictment of New York Attorney General Letitia James. In just a moment, we're going to be joined by the MSNBC reporter who's broken critical parts of this story. James' indictment comes just weeks after Donald Trump publicly pressured his Justice Department to take action against Letitia James, James Comey, and other perceived enemies. This is retribution, plain and simple. Remember, James secured a successful civil fraud verdict against Trump's business in New York just last year. On Monday, MSNBC reported that a top prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia told coworkers she found no probable cause in James's case. The prosecutor planned to present her conclusion to Trump's hand-picked interim U.S. attorney, Lindsay Halligan. But today, Halligan, who has been that office's top prosecutor for just over 2 weeks, presented evidence to a grand jury anyway. She was the sole signer on the James indictment. As you'll recall, Halligan was also the sole signer on the Comey indictment. Letitia James said this tonight in response.
I'll show you that later. But you notice that they're saying exactly what I told you. The fact that Lindsay Halligan was the sole person who signed the indictment. That Trump went after her, and all Trump wanted to do was get her arrested, and Adam Schiff and Comey. Is she guilty? Did she actually do it? No, we don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about all the other extraneous reasons why this is happening, except for the fact of the person who actually did it.
You, the Fox News alert here is New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted in federal court for making false statements to a bank in order to secure favorable terms on a mortgage for her Virginia home. What?
Yeah.
She indicated would be her primary residence. James was one of Trump's chief.
By the way, over there on the right, that is the judge that's going to be presiding over Letitia James. His name is Jamar K. Walker. And so that's the judge in that jurisdiction. So it's going to be very hard. I would think. I don't know this man. I'm not casting aspersions on him. I'm not going to say that he's in the tank. But it looks like a duck, smell like a duck, might be a duck. We should see. I don't know. I don't want to say that. I don't know this man, but I don't like the fact how it looks in the appearance of this.
Antagonist, you'll remember, bringing a $454 million civil fraud case against the president and his company.
Representing our respective states, stand up and enforce the rule of law. The president of these United States is not above the law.
No matter how rich, powerful, or politically connected you are, everyone must play by the same rules.
Please sue him for us.
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the
This whole thing just bothers me. It was a joke. You were going to destroy this man's business, his family, everything, just because he was running for president. You were willing to commit the resources of not one court, not two courts, but courts across the country just to stop him. Then, of course, we all saw what happened in July. What is it that you people are afraid of? I think we're seeing it right now. This has been a long, thought-out campaign to, quote, as she said, get Trump. They had to. They had to slow him down. They had to do anything possible. And he still got elected by a lot. And so now it's to the point where they need to do anything, and they can't. I don't know if you've been really, really watching the news lately. I'm not just talking about the Hamas-Israel thing. It's just I don't get any sleep. Ashley, no sleep. We stop and start doing the shows and everything, and I look at the schedule, I'm like, oh God, what's he doing now? And every single day, something happens. Technically, as you know, Fridays and Saturdays have historically been slow news days. Guess what? Something's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what it is. We don't have any idea what's going to drop on a Friday, but something will drop tomorrow. Count on it. He is moving at the speed of light. He is moving at a pace that nobody has ever seen in political history. And the Democrats are on their heels, and they have nothing they can do. Nothing. They're going to have a no kings protest. So, I said it earlier in the afternoon show. We're winning so much, I think even people in MAGA are getting winning fatigue.
Breaking news into the Fanfare newsfeed.
Oh, that's the wrong button.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
I played that this afternoon, and I talked to you guys about getting over your battle fatigue of winning. And then what happens? We turn off, and like an hour later, boom, Letitia James is indicted. I'm like, come on, man. We can't take it anymore. It's so much. But we love it. So I guess what you guys need to begin doing is expect it. Salivate. Wait for the next one, because there's going to be more. It's October. It's 9 months in, 8 months in, since January. Excuse me. And it just keeps coming. It's just, bam, bam, body blow, body blow. It's like, come on, Mr. President, he's so right. We can't take it anymore. The only reason we can take it is because we know who's taking it even less. If you think we're stunned, if you think we're fatigued, imagine how they feel. Imagine how Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer are out there trying to do news, and bam, this drops. Or bam, yesterday, Israel drops. He's sucking all the air out of the room. Nobody's paying attention to them. You got Pritzker out there trying to play big bad Billy Badass and go, come get me. Let's go around you, bro. You're not that important. Brandon Johnson, I'm going to fight. Move. Don't care. They're trying to get publicity. They're trying to look good in the news. And then a story drops which completely sucks all the air out of the networks. I'm not the only one who's sitting putting together a show for tonight. Okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And what? What just happened? Literally, that's how it happens. I'm sitting there doing, hey, Ashley, what do you think? We should run this? Yeah, go ahead, do this interview. Yeah, should we do this? Oh. And bam, something happens. So I know it's not just me. I know it's in the networks too. Whatever they had planned, bam. Get used to this. But more than get used to it, fight it. Make sure people know. I just went that entire indictment to you. There's going to be people on Facebook, on Twitter, all over the place saying, blah, 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 Trump. Hey, have you seen this? Do you know anything about this? Do you know about this? You understand what a Fannie Mae loan is? You understand she lied on it? What's going to happen? I'm going to tell you right now. You're going to talk to some people and they're like, I don't want to hear it. That's the result you're going to get. You're going to get people because you're basically hitting them. And then you're going to hit them again. And you're like, here, it's right here. It's sort of like what Mike Johnson has been doing. Yes, they want to have the newcomers have all the Medicaid. It's right here, paragraph. Right now, the Democrats are just going like this. Please stop. Please stop. You're destroying us with facts. And I just hope that many of you feel like I do and like, this is incredible. And that's why I wanted to spend so much time on actually showing you the indictment. And you can actually download it and you can like send it to people. Oh, you think it's fake? Here. Because the networks aren't going to do that.
And now the Trump Justice Department may be a pain in her you-know-what. The Angle has obtained shocking allegations leveled by the Trump administration against New York Attorney General Letitia James. The Federal Housing Finance Agency has sent a criminal referral to the DOJ accusing James of mortgage fraud. In a letter to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Director Bill Pulte says James appears to have falsified records in order to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. He cited a property in Virginia that she's allegedly claimed as her principal residence and a property in New York that she claimed as a 4-unit structure instead of the required, instead of a 5, which Pulte says means she was able to get a different type.
Did you notice what she said there? Right now we're reading the indictment on the Virginia property, and there's a New York one coming. That one's still hanging out there. She didn't drop that one today. So all of you guys right now looking at the entire media is focusing here, and they don't know there's something else coming. Yeah, there's something else coming. She did it again. Yeah, twice. So it wasn't a mistake. You did it again. It was so easy. That was easy enough. I stole that money. Let me steal it again. Guarantee you, you won't hear that in the media. Guarantee you, they won't be talking about the second indictment, which will probably become a superseding indictment, or they may just wait and do it again. Look up superseding indictment. You might want to learn that. So, that little nugget, because Bill Pulte, if you haven't been following him, he's been dropping all these nuggets. And he's been showing people, yeah, she did it here, she did it here. Lisa Cook, same way. She's coming. Lisa, it's coming. You wouldn't let Trump fire her? She couldn't get fired from the Federal Reserve? Well, there's another way to get her off the Federal Reserve. It's coming. You can't be involved in mortgage fraud and claim anything other than either you did or you didn't. That's it. That's your defense. The defense in most things is the truth. Hey, Miss James, did you sign this? Yes. Okay, then you're guilty. There is no other answer. I mean, I don't understand the media. They know. They're trying to get people to not pay attention to it because it literally is that simple. It's one question. Let me put her on the stand. I'm not even an attorney. Miss James, in 2023, when you were trying to buy this property, you said you were buying this property as a second home. Is that true? Yes. And here's the loan you took out saying you were having this as your second property. Is that true? Yes. Is this your signature? Yes. Read this paragraph here. Well, it says if I sign this, I could be arrested for penalty of perjury. You understand what that means as an attorney general? Yes. Was it your second property? Or did you rent it out? I rented it out. I'm done, Your Honor. I could do it in my cousin video. Tap dead center. Right there. You're done. You're done. Or you're going to lie on the stand. See, this is where it gets really, really... What are you going to do? You're either lying then, or lying now, or lying both. Is it your signature? It was an auto pen or something. Well, I was going to rent it out, but I couldn't rent it out, so there's nothing, and you won't hear this on the media. Literally, you could prosecute this case. I'm pretty sure what I just did. Your Honor, can I take second chair here? Yeah. You mind if I take this? Hey, Letitia, what the hell was you thinking, girl? Did you do this? What's she gonna say? You're an attorney general. Are you gonna lie on the stand? You don't think you'll be disbarred like that? At least you could go to jail, and maybe the people in New York would let you continue to be the attorney general because you got caught on a $18,000 or $20,000 grift. Maybe. Who knows what Kathy Hochul would say. But you don't need $10 million to defend this case. It's pretty simple. You either signed it or you didn't. Don't lie. Don't you dare lie.
Presumed innocent, I'll start with that. They never include that with Trump, but it's the right thing to start with. You're presumed innocent. It's just a charge. The irony is crushing. She ran for office promising to go after Donald Trump. I don't recall him running for office promising to go after her, but if the facts are there, if you and I would be indicted for lying on a mortgage application or lying on an application for a bank loan, well, so should she. The fact
That's it. In fact, you can ask your liberal friends. So is often that you lie on loan applications? So if they catch you, should you go to jail, or you just say, hey, I'm a liberal. I'm a black liberal woman. What's a woman? I don't know. Yeah, none of this makes any sense. You are an attorney general of one of the biggest states in the country, and your defense is, I made a mistake? Seriously? Is that what she's going to go into court and say? I'm not guilty. Based on what? Insanity? Temporary insanity? Why did you put this? I mean, literally, I wasn't kidding. Most of you could probably prosecute this case. I don't care if she brings in a $1,000 hour attorney who's going to say this. It's very simple. I don't know how she gets away from this. I don't know how any judge lets her get away from it. What kind of a technicality can you possibly say for mortgage fraud, knowing that so many people in the country who may have participated in mortgage fraud are sitting there going, imagine that right now. Imagine you bought some property in Chicago and you went out there and you got 16 illegals living in it. And you're like, yeah, I'm renting it out, but it's supposed to be my house. But hey, Letitia did it. She got arrested? Yeah, she got indicted. Ooh. Oh, you bet. There's a whole lot of people. Remember what I told you this morning. There's a lot of people who have money who are on the left, who use conservative principles and break the law, and nobody ever looks at them because they are, quote, above the law. And so what's she doing? What's she going to do right now? So a lot of people are going to be watching this.
You're the AG. It does not provide legal immunity from your criminal act. So she's presumed innocent. She'll get a jury trial. I hope that her jury is more fair to her than Donald Trump's judges have been to him.
I'm banking on jury nullification. I don't want this to be like OJ. I don't want this to be where people felt they couldn't convict OJ because he was a black man. And he was married to a white woman, a pretty white woman who cheated on him, and so she deserved that. I'm not putting OJ in jail. But the evidence is right here. The evidence was right there. Everybody saw the evidence. And they only acquitted him because of who he was. He scored touchdowns, and he was a good-looking, charismatic black man. Did he do it? I don't care. I'm not putting the juice in jail. Seriously? That's what y'all did? You guys completely looked at the other way of a woman almost having her head cut off because she was sleeping with somebody? Because he was black? He was OJ? Don't doubt the insanity of juries that have preconceived notions. Don't get yourself up into to be let down when you find out, yes, she lied. She did this on the application, and they still said, yeah, whatever. She's my sister. I can't put my sister in jail.
First, I want to say congratulations to President Trump's U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia, Lindsay Halligan. She is the one who brought and won the indictment against James Comey, and now she just brought and won an indictment against Big Tish James, the New York Attorney General, who tried to bankrupt President Trump for non-fraud. Remember this. Let's remind your listeners, your viewers, what happened there. They went after Tish James with Judge Arthur Engeron, this goofball Democrat judge in New York, tried to bankrupt President Trump with a $400 million judgment because Judge Engeron with Big Tish James said that President Trump somehow committed bank fraud with sophisticated Wall Street banks that he paid back on time, as agreed, in full with interest. They say that these sophisticated Wall Street banks somehow got duped on the valuation of Mar-a-Lago. And they said that President Trump overvaluated Mar-a-Lago when he said it was around $750 million. Instead, they said that Mar-a-Lago was worth only $18 million. Just to put this in perspective, Mar-a-Lago is one of the most prime pieces of real estate on the planet. It is 20 acres of land in Palm Beach, Florida that touches.
All right, so he's not from here, so he doesn't know. It is not in West Palm Beach. That's where you ask anybody where they live if they live on Palm Beach Island, they will let you know. No. It is not West Palm Beach. West Palm Beach is west of where we are. They'll tell you we live on Palm Beach Island. Over there is West Palm Beach. Understand here the geography, the value, the old wealth that is on that area.
Both the Atlantic Ocean and the Intracoastal Waterway. A tennis court at Mar-a-Lago is worth more than $18 million. But even though Trump paid back the banks on time as agreed in full with interest, Big Tish James and Judge Goofball Arthur Engeron socked Trump with a $400 million judgment and tried to foreclose on the properties, tried to...
All right, so that's very important. I included that because of that little statement there. She can't even say what President Trump said. She can't come in and say, well, there's no harm, no foul, I paid it back. That's not a defense. By your own precedent, that's not a defense. You said it didn't matter that the loan was paid back. The Deutsche Bank came in and said, we got paid back, we got paid on time, and we lend to him again. And it didn't matter. The fact of what you guys wanted to do is say the property was overvalued. You're an idiot.
Enforce the judgment to bankrupt Trump, because who has $400 million in cash laying around, right? And so fast forward to today, the court, New York appellate courts have put a stop to that nonsense in New York, largely because Big Tish and Arthur Ingeron are such whack jobs. Now, fast forward today, we have learned a grand jury has agreed and indicted Big Tish that she lied on her mortgage application for her second home in Richmond, Virginia. Her mortgage, she got a mortgage on an investment property, and she said it was her primary residence. And she got a lower interest rate on that because she lied and said it was her primary residence. Well, here's the problem. She's the New York Attorney General. By statute in New York, her primary residence has to be in New York. So she's either defrauding New York by living in Virginia, or she's defrauding Virginia by living in New York, right? It's one or the other. Well, the grand jury just decided today she's defrauding Virginia by claiming Virginia is her primary residence, and she got charged with mortgage fraud. I think it's like up to 30 years in prison for each count. I think it's up to $1 million in fines and restitution on top of that. Wow. So I think Big Tish.
No, that's never going to happen. I don't want people thinking she's going to see 20 or 30 years in jail. It's never going to happen. She probably won't even get convicted, but she definitely ain't going to serve 20 or 30 years. That's not what's at issue. What's at issue is she broke the law. She needs to face the music. And let the jury, hopefully of her peers, can be smart enough to understand what's going on.
Is in big trouble now in the Eastern District of Virginia federal court. Now, let me make this last point, Steve. This isn't some right-wing grand jury. This is in the Eastern District of Virginia in Alexandria, the Alexandria division. I worked there many years ago. This is loaded up with Democrats, government workers, and illegal immigrants. That's the Eastern District of Virginia. So it seems like it's a pretty strong case by U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan, President Trump's all-star U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia.
She goes back to back days. She's bringing big charges against big people, defending the little guy. It looks like every other day. Am I correct on this?
Yeah, I mean, Big Jim Comey is like, what is he, like 6'7"? He just got indicted by Lindsay Halligan and the grand jury, and then now Big Tish James. So back to back, she is bringing accountability and justice. And I would say to these Democrats who said this to us for 4 years, actually really 8 years of lawfare, but particularly bad over the last 4 years, that if the grand jury indicts, obviously the charges are legitimate because the grand jury indicted, and nobody's above the law. And I think we can use the same thing that they said again, including Tish James, by the way. Remember before the election, for her attorney general election, Tish James actually campaigned on the fact that she's going to weaponize her office to go after President Trump, and she did. She did.
I want to take a second because I really want to prove to you, because the numbers on Palm Beach Island are so crazy, most people can't even think about it. And so while he was talking, I went on Zillow and I looked something up. I want you to see this. This is probably one of the only properties that's available right now in terms of just the land. What Mike Davis just said, and you heard, is Mar-a-Lago is 20 acres. 20 acres on oceanfront and intercoastal. This particular property is 1.9 acres. 1.9 acres, and the dirt is $200 million. That's not a misprint. That's what the dirt cost. You can build whatever you want, but it's got nothing there, or a tear down, and it's 1.9 acres, and they want $200 million. 200 million for 2 acres. He's got 20 acres and a house and all the other stuff. This is just dirt for 200 million. So just based upon that information, if 2 acres is 200 million, then 10 times that, you see what I'm saying? And she tried to say it was 18 million, and everybody down here in real estate was like, what are these people doing? We all knew. We all laughed. And I tried to tell people, you can't get a parking space. You can't rent a garage for 18 million in that area. And the problem is it's such a small area that most people have never seen. They've never even driven by it. They're like, you can't possibly be talking that kind of numbers. Oh yeah. And I've showed people this kind of stuff before. 2 acres. 200 million. That's not 200,000. 200 million. And these are the kind of properties that are on Palm Beach Island that most people will never, ever, ever acquire. They will never even see it. You can drive by the frontage road, but they've got huge trees and everything else, and most of them you can't even see. They're hidden behind fortresses. And so for her to say that that property, Mar-a-Lago, is only worth 18 million, was an insult. It was an insult to all the people who live there. Many of them who are liberal had to look the other way and go, oh, I can't say anything, can I? No. Hey, John Bon Jovi, you knew. You went and sang songs for Kamala, and you did the rally, and the whole time you knew the entire lawsuit against Trump was complete BS, but you never said a word. You're phony. You see, there's so many people who live on Palm Beach that you can now say, you're an idiot, you're sold out, you sold out, because you knew damn well that property was worth more than 18 million. You knew.
And guess what? Revenge is best served cold, Big Tish. Gosh. So lawyer up.
Lawyer up is right. Lawyer up. Now that you're hearing this, I just wonder, I'm looking over at the chat, I'm like, do you guys realize how much of a scam they ran on President Trump? Most people, I don't know if you were following me back then, but I tried to show people it's the biggest scam I've ever seen. And nobody in the media, even though some of them were down here, nobody said it. It's insane. And because they didn't say it, people didn't know. It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy when you understand the effort that it took to be such scumbags. To try and tell a man who probably has $1 billion property, it's only worth like 18 million. I don't know how you didn't jump off the table and just punch her in the face. You're trying to steal my property. Because that's what they were going to do. Now, what's scary about this is if Kamala had gotten elected, that's exactly what would have happened. Wait till you see what happens with Zorhan the Great up in New York City. And some of those Park Avenue people. Wait till they see what's coming. Wait till they see what they really have in mind. Some people think living in the pod and eating the bugs is just a slogan. You'll own nothing and be happy. They mean that shit. Excuse my language. It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely insane that would be something that people would do. God help us. God help us if these people ever got in power. He will sue New York when he gets out of office. I hope so. Every winter, my husband threatens me moving back to Palm Beach. Every winter. Do it! Yes, I certainly. What's that say? Yes, I certainly know it. Well, I missed that. Went way too fast. I was stationed at Lake Worth Inlet with the Coast Guard station. We patrolled the whole area. We had the Kennedy bunker on the island. That is a very nice piece of property as well. Yes, I know it broke my heart for Trump and his family. And the thing was, the media never talked about it, so a lot of people didn't know how it was just a massive. I mean, I used to say it, and sometimes I would play music, Steely Dan, the Royal Scam, because it was a serious royal scam that they were pulling on Americans, and people didn't understand. Because they counted on the fact that, not that people are ignorant, but that people really can't comprehend that people live like that. That they have that kind of wealth. I mean, there's Saudi people. I mean, just the top. Like I said earlier, rich people can't live there. Only wealthy people can live there. I think Sylvester Stallone bought a property there too. Wait here. We have to protect the 2026 midterms, or we will all be eating bugs. Yeah, absolutely. Big Tish was planning on getting paid when they stole President Trump's properties on the island. Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. Let's see what else we got here. Don't forget to mention that New York governor has written a tax bill to apply to the citizens for funding her defense, $10 million. You're absolutely right. I showed that earlier, so in case you didn't see it. Zorhan will probably take Trump Tower. Good luck with that. He might try it. You're right. New Yorkers are being stupid. Yeah, it's almost like what's that thing they always keep talking about, the frog in the boiling, and by the time you realize you're getting boiled, it's too late. That describes New York to me in a nutshell. How are things in Wellington? Wellington is northwest of Boca, and if you're into horses, you'd love it in Wellington. Wellington has stables, and it's polo. It's very, very nice. It's country. It's not beachy like Palm Beach, but it's country, and it's got country estates where people have horses. Very nice. Very nice. Tulsa King. I love that show. That's one of my shows I keep on Paramount. I just go back to. I've been in Florida since 2022. Didn't Letitia James threaten to take possession of the property? Yeah. She was going to take it. That's why he had to come up with that, $450 million bond, and then they tried to take the bond company's license because they couldn't believe he came up with it. And then when he did come up with it, they're like, well, you're not legal to be giving up this bond. She wanted to steal his life. And she said it in the video I played. I'm going to take his properties. I'm coming back here with a $250 million check. Evil, absolutely personified. Crazy. Let me tell you real quick about Crypto.com. If you haven't been to Crypto.com, we can go there, but you can go there on your own, and you might want to check that out. President Trump just did this big deal where he and his company, Trump Media, I guess that would be Devin Nunes, $6.4 billion. So let's be clear, cryptocurrency is no longer just an emerging currency. It's here, and his latest move cements that reality in the biggest way yet. The Trump Media Group just inked a massive $6.4 billion deal with Crypto.com, the world's top crypto platform. They're teaming up to scoop up $6.4 billion in CRO, the powerhouse token that fuels it's really good. Fuels fast, low-fee DeFi, staking rewards, and real-world perks like cashback on your spends to launch America's first CRO treasury. When it's done, this new company will be the biggest CRO holder out there. Want in on the action or just want to find out more? Go to Crypto.com today and grab some CRO. Let me see if I can bring up that website real quick and bring it in so you guys can see it. Hold on one second, because it does have some information that you might want to check out. And here it is. I can bring it in. Where am I? Wait one second. I'm going to bring it in so you guys can take a look at this, because I'll go full screen with it, and that way you guys can see this. Go to crypto.com. It goes to Trump Media Group and crypto.com. And if you scroll down right here, you can either buy CRO or you can tap for more information, and it will show you all about the $6.4 billion acquisition. $6.4 billion. Lots of ducats right there. So go to crypto.com, and if you'd like to learn more about that, it's up to you. Your choice. All right, let's continue.
Do two wrongs make a right, Scott?
Well, the implication that I don't support the Constitution that you made notwithstanding.
I did not say that.
Excuse me, being an original.
He's just famous for being a constitutional originalist.
Here's what I think. If Democrats like Slotkin are going to come out today and whine about selective prosecutions over Tish James, her entire career is built on the selective prosecution of one man. Now, I also believe what Elliot said. There's a process here. Everybody gets their day in court. Obviously, a grand jury saw enough evidence to bring charges. We don't know what they are, but a grand jury looked at this and says, okay, there's something here. She gets to go to court just like Comey, just like anyone else. But to me, it's just not going to fly to boo-hoo over selective prosecutions on this particular person who promised in her campaigns, who went after him on things, as Jonah said, that had no business ever happening, if not but for the man's last name being Trump. So I'm not going to.
How is that not a two wrongs make a right argument?
I'm not saying.
What the hell does that mean? What does it mean? Two wrongs make a right. Either a crime was committed or a crime wasn't committed. The stuff that we saw during the trial of President Trump, which is being overturned by judges, it's not two wrongs make a right. It's completely separate. You can't put them together. It's not the same. And like Scott Jennings said at the time they were filming that, they're having pontification and discussions about something they know nothing about. None of them had seen the actual indictment. Why you would even discuss it without knowing? All you knew is that she got charged with or indicted for mortgage fraud. They didn't have the benefit of what you had a little while ago, going through the entire indictment. Because once you go through the entire indictment, it becomes very simple. It's not about two wrongs. It's about she committed a crime. Perhaps, with all their resources in those stations, they should pull up the indictment and let everybody see it. See, but that's how they do the sleight of hand. Because they haven't seen it, and you're like, we haven't seen it yet, but then what the hell are you talking about?
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying she gets her day in court. I'm saying a grand jury saw enough evidence to bring charges, and I'm saying she gets to go to court and tell her side of the story, and then we'll see what happens. But I'm just arguing the political debating issue here. Democrats are going to say, this is the first time we've ever had somebody go down the road of selective prosecutions on her? Yeah. Give me a break.
No, I agree with that. The one thing
yeah, I agree with it. Huh? You just said it was two wrongs don't make a right, and then when Scott puts it out there yeah, I agree with it. You get paid all that money to look like a Charlie McCarthy's dummy. Some stuff, oh yeah, I agree. Anybody can do that. Anybody can sit there and, okay, you're right. Huh? You didn't think of that yourself? You're telling me you go on television and you don't even know what you're talking about. You hear someone else on the panel and go, I agree with that.
Welcome to the lead. I'm Jake Tapper, and we start with some shocking breaking news in our Law and Justice lead just moments ago.
Why is it shocking? Why the hyperbole, Jake? Why is it shocking? I'll tell you why. Because he hasn't seen the indictment either.
Two sources telling CNN that the Justice Department indicted yet another one of President Trump's perceived political opponents. This time it was New York Democrats.
Let's stop there. Again, when you're talking to people, the Justice Department didn't indict anyone. That's very important for you to know. Lindsay Halligan, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, nobody indicted Letitia James. So you may be saying, Barry, what are you talking about? Who indicted Letitia James? A grand jury. A grand jury received evidence, much of what like you just saw, and they said, yeah, go lock her up. You could not. None of the people I mentioned, not Todd, not Pam, not Lindsay Halligan, not Kash Patel, not Dan Bongino, none of those people could do anything to Letitia James. He's got to know that. He's got to know he's full of crap. The grand jury indicted her.
Democratic Attorney General Letitia James. She was charged in a federal court in a grand jury in Alexandria, Virginia today. You will remember James brought civil fraud charges alleging financial fraud against Trump and his adult sons in his real estate business in New York back in 2022. A judge found them liable and ordered a $355 million fine, which Trump appealed. And this obviously comes in the context of President Trump demanding that the Eastern District of Virginia, the U.S. attorney there, carry out orders to go after his political opponents. James Comey, who has been indicted. Letitia James, who as of today has been indicted. Democratic Senator Adam Schiff is the third that he mentioned in that public Truth Social post that the Wall Street Journal reports was accidentally posted publicly, was meant to be a private message to his Attorney General, Pam Bondi. With me here in New York, CNN.
Okay, so he did the entire intro and never said he saw the indictment. This is how these people sway people to listening to them, because he spent more time talking about President Trump and Pam Bondi than he did the crime. He didn't need. Why are you trying to draw parallels? Hey, today Letitia James was indicted. I've reviewed the indictment, and here's the allegations. Why are you even bringing up Trump? What does he have to do with the indictment that a grand jury decided on? Are you saying the grand jury are all Trump supporters? That they all just ignored it and they just put out an indictment because of who she is? Or perhaps did they read some documents and go, yeah, this looks pretty bad? What I'm trying to show you is the people who so many people entrust as news people don't know shit. It's entertainment. It's meant there to obfuscate, to gaslight, to bamboozle the people watching. The hosts don't know anything. And I think they do that on purpose so they don't have to pretend like they know. So they just read a script. He's reading a teleprompter. Blah, 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 blah. I'm Jake Tapper. Oh, let me turn to this guy who I think knows more than I do. That's all they do. They don't know. You think he took the time to do what you did and look through the indictment? Hell no.
It's Kara Scannell. We're going to start with CNN's Kristen Holmes, who's live at the White House. Kristen, you broke the story. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so earlier today, Lindsay Halligan, the U.S. attorney who was handpicked by Donald Trump to lead the Eastern District of Virginia after Eric Siebert stepped down. That was the man who had been in place and felt hesitant to bring certain cases against Letitia James.
Why do you need to know that? Why do the people watching CNN need to hear everything she just said? Okay, here, more on the case. Are you going to get to the case? She just went through why she thinks and how bad it is that Trump sicked Pam Bondi on her, and Lindsay Halligan is going to do this because the other guy got fired. That's not news.
Well as James Comey, Lindsay Halligan presented the case against Letitia James to a grand jury, and they did vote to indict. Now, we are still waiting to hear what those charges are, but as you noted, this is part of a pattern and part of the reason that President Trump put Halligan into that role. He wanted a loyalist, and he wanted a loyalist who would follow through on some of these cases against his political opponents. Again, we spoke to a number of sources in and around conversations within that U.S. Attorney's Office in Virginia who said the case wasn't strong enough to...
You spoke to a whole lot of sources, huh? And all those sources didn't have any idea what the hell was going on. But all of us now, we can see it. I saw this. This is from Bloomberg News. Letitia James has been indicted on unsealed criminal charges. Count 1, bank fraud, 18 U.S.C. 1344. Count 2, false statements to a financial institution, 18 U.S.C. 1014, forfeiture statutes. Here's the docket. By the way, if any of you guys ever wanted to click on these things, it takes you to the actual website. It's called the Court Listener. Let me see if I can shrink that. Where if you guys want to see the actual filing, It's right there. There it is. Right there. That's all CNN had to do. That's all they had to do is just go in here. And by the way, you know what's really interesting? Let me see if I can scroll down here. You see it was last updated at 7:38. So something else has been filed. So we have to see what that is. But if you go down further, it says the filing, date filed October 9th, which is obviously today, date of last known filing. And down here is the actual docket. And it says date filed, and it says indictment filed, returned in open court, blah, 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 Letitia James. You can, over by the side here, it's too small. You can actually download the actual PDF, which is I did, or you can go here to the summons issued, delivered to Letitia James. And what's interesting, I can't, let me see if I can make it go smaller. What's really interesting, notice that she said, they don't know. Okay, here we go. I got to keep making it smaller. This is very interesting. All right. Can I scroll down? Yeah, okay. You see this? Right here. Her initial appearance is set for October 24th at 9 o'clock a.m. And what I'm trying to point out here is this is the actual court docket. I'm pretty sure CNN has access to court dockets. I'm pretty sure they could have went in here and seen this themselves. They choose not to.
Before a grand jury, obviously, Halligan felt differently and did so, which led to an indictment. So we're still waiting on a lot of those details to come in. But as you noted, this is yet another person on a long list of political enemies that President Trump he has wanted to bring to court.
Tim, how strong of a case do you think the Justice Department has? And separately, but relatedly, Lindsay Halligan, who is the acting U.S. Attorney, the Eastern District of Virginia, she is bringing indictments that it sounds as though people in the Eastern District of Virginia thought would be difficult to prove in a court of law. That is a higher standard than bringing an indictment. How big a task does she have ahead of her?
Well, look, mortgage fraud is something that's been used in many circumstances in other political cases. You know, you got to remember, we sent Bernie Kerik to jail for 4 years because he made a mistake on his mortgage application. So there is certainly precedent for this. And it's particularly interesting when Letitia James brought, an almost identical case against Donald Trump, in New York in a civil context. And so, I do think that when you certify that something is true and there's something in there that's false like that, you would expect that the Attorney General of the state of New York would be more careful in what she's putting on those applications. And so I'm sure that they have some kind of context to put those other documents into, whether those were things that were, put in after the fact, after it was discovered, whatever it is, we'll find out, soon enough. But Lindsay Halligan is somebody that I worked with before.
You should have stopped right there. That's it. He hadn't seen the documents, like I assume we'll see it, but he just outlined mortgage fraud to Jake Tapper. That's it, Jake. There's some lies here. There's some false documentation. That is the case. So if Lindsay Halligan was able to bring that case to a grand jury and show a grand jury that, hey, look at what I have here, and they said, yeah, go get her. What does it have to do with Trump and Pam Bondi? Except for what they're probably thinking is Lindsay Halligan should have never presented it. If it was such a bad case that none of the other prosecutors could ever get an indictment, how did Lindsay Halligan just brush her hair and just walk in and go, look, what I got? She got it. And now I understand people say you can indict a ham sandwich. Yeah, well, that's one big-ass ham sandwich. So if anybody can indict a ham sandwich, why didn't the other guys do it? What were the other guys afraid of? Because they kept saying there's no case here. Well, obviously there is. And she had nothing. Grand juries are secret and private, so she didn't know who she was going to get in that grand jury. And they went, yeah, I can see it.
I think she's a very smart lawyer. And, she's bringing these cases, presumably because there is good evidence, for them. There is a grand jury that the process has been gone through. And, a grand jury, not a prosecutor, decided whether there's probable cause to proceed.
Jake wasn't ready for that. You brought a guy on your show who told the truth. Hey, it wasn't her. That must have hurt Jake. What do you mean it wasn't her? No, it was a grand jury that did it. I'm like, that was a great clip. Here's an attorney. He's not going to put his name out there and lie. They brought the wrong guy on CNN. Absolutely.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
Donald Trump and the other defendants have committed persistent and repeated fraud. Last week, we proved that in our motion for summary judgment. Today, we will prove our other claims. My message is simple. No matter how powerful you are, no matter how much money you think you may have, no one is above the law. And it is my responsibility and my duty and my job to enforce it. The law is both powerful and fragile. And today in court, we will prove our case. I thank you all for being here. And again, justice will prevail. Thank you.
Somebody should put that on a loop and send it to her. Justice. She looks like she's trying to be so eloquent. And so now the exact same words that she said are being played right back to her. No one is above the law. Democrats don't like hearing that turned around. No, it's malicious. He sick Pam Bondi on her. It either is or isn't a crime. It's that simple. It really is that simple. And for everybody in the media, notice that Jake Tapper, the other lady, that nobody wanted to actually admit, yeah, this looks really bad.
Look at what he's doing right now, for example, with Tish James. Look at what he's doing with Adam Schiff. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to make another bold prediction here on
a lot of predictions at 8 o'clock in the morning.
There's a lot of here. Take these notes because, mark my words, politically, they're both doomed. All right, I'm telling you right off the bat, this is a political suicide for both Tish James and Adam Schiff.
More of a political homicide.
Well, yeah, but how are they going to be? How are they politically doomed if Senator Schiff comes from a blue state? Attorney General Tish James is here in a blue state. They are elected by the people. How are they doomed politically?
It'll.
These two light and the loafer guys here. You can't be that obtuse. How are they? So what you are actually saying is somebody can be accused and tried and possibly convicted of a crime, but in blue states, they can't be doomed. They're not my words. He just said it. How it's a blue state. How are they doomed? Oh, so you guys look the other way on criminals. You completely don't care in blue states. That's what they just said. How could it possibly be that they're doomed? Seriously, bro?
The gerrymander, it will end up being somehow, they will end up being held.
Races,
yes, but they will also be held accountable. Mark my words, they will be held accountable for the crimes that they are now looking at. That's Ed Martin who's looking at him. And I know so many people are going to say, oh my God, Michael Cohen is like bending the knee to Trump. No, what I'm doing is I'm actually telling you the reality. We could talk to each other all day long. And
all right, so what he gets into here, I want you to hear. Michael Cohen, who is Trump's fixer, who turned on him during the whole, what was her name? Sleepy Girl. Smokey Daniels, Stormy Daniels, through that whole trial. He got destroyed, went to jail. But the one thing he knows is what these other people don't know. The one thing that Michael Cohen knows is he understands Trump. He's not trying to get in his good graces. He's already fallen out of that. He's telling these people the what for. He's coming. This guy takes no crap. He's like a mafia don. He's like the good mafia don. He's not going to whack you that way, but he's coming for you. I know because I worked for him. And this is what they're not listening to. Michael Cohen is about to tell them, you don't even know what's about to happen.
Can say, oh, I have 1 million followers, you have 1 million followers. It's the same million followers. 77 million Americans ended up voting for Trump. Mark my words, Ed Martin, the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, they will figure out exactly how to go after Adam Schiff, how to go after Tish James for these mortgage violations, and they
alleged mortgage violations.
Alleged, correct, and they will be held accountable. That's my next prediction here on your show, and I know that I'm right because if there is a signing of a box which is wrong, and trust me, I know, I went to prison. One of my charges was on my HELOC. I had low mortgage onto it. I had 80% equity.
Did you catch that? He went to jail, and one of the things they got him on, many people didn't know, they got him on mortgage fraud. HELOC. If you don't know what a HELOC is, I understand. It's a home equity line of credit, real estate. And 80%. Where did I hear 80%? Oh, that's what Letitia James got. So he's talking from experience. He goes, oh, I got hit because I checked the wrong damn box on a HELOC. An 80% loan that I wasn't supposed to get, and I went to jail.
Held me accountable for a HELOC violation. Theirs is much worse. And rest assured, allegedly, right. So let's go one step even further here. When you have the courts on your side as well, what chance do you have of success? It's why I turn around and I say, doomed.
Yeah.
Doomed. They're done. They can say whatever they want, but there are too many people. Bernie Kerik, Michael Cohen, people have gone to jail for this. And it's such a cut and dry thing that the people who've gone to jail like that, in addition to everything else, you're facing an adversary who you tried to kill. He mentions Al Capone so many times. Why do you think he mentions Al Capone way back during the campaign days? Do you remember? Alphonse Capone, the great Alphonse Capone. And he kept saying it. People are like, why does he keep talking about a gangster? You remember how that gangster went down? He'd killed people. He had stolen people. He was in gambling. He was in prostitution. He was in all kinds of stuff. How did Al Capone finally go down? Financial crimes. It was the IRS. They started looking at his book. They got the accountant. He got done in by financial crimes. Trump has known that for a long time, a very long time, that was going to be the problem. And how do you know this? Is because they tried so long to get him, and there was nothing in his background. So somewhere along the way, was it his father, whatever it was, he knew, don't F up your paperwork. That is how they will take you down. If they can't catch you here, if they can't catch you there, they're going to come after you because your paperwork's not in order. And that's going to collapse the entire house. He kept telling everybody, Al Capone, Al Capone, Alphonse Capone, Alphonse. I'm like, why is he? Oh, that's right. Go back and look. If you don't know, that's how Al Capone went down. Financial crimes. All the bad stuff he did, they could never get him on it. They nailed him on money.
This is nothing more than a continuation.
Oh, by the way, you know who it is. This was her response. And I want you to watch this. I'm not going to interrupt it. Tell me if you don't think, A, that this might be AI, or B, she's medicated. Which one is it? Because something's very weird. You'll see. I want you to look at this and then listen to it. She's obviously reading a teleprompter, or it's reading a teleprompter if it's AI. I don't know. But something didn't jive with this piece that she put out after the indictment. Who knows when this was filmed, if it was filmed. But it looks very weird to me. I'd love to get your opinion.
Of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding. All because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, And the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost. The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties. His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me and replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law, but to the president, is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country. This is the time for leaders on both sides of the aisle to speak.
You see what I mean? Does she look medicated, or that this could be AI? Her eyes are doing like this the whole time. I mean, I read ads, and I have a teleprompter for ads. I talk to myself when I do this stuff. But she's all like this. So I'm wondering, something's wrong here. It's not right.
Speak out against this blatant perversion of our system of justice. I stand strongly behind my office's litigation against the Trump Organization. We conducted a 2-year investigation based on the facts and evidence, not politics. Judges have upheld the trial court's finding that Donald Trump, his company, and his 2 sons are liable for fraud. I'm a proud woman of faith, and I know that faith and fear cannot share the same space. And so today, I'm not fearful. I'm fearless. And as my faith teaches me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. We will fight these baseless charges aggressively, and my office will continue to fiercely protect New Yorkers and their rights. And I will continue to do my job.
Your faith. Where was your faith when you signed those fraudulent documents? Where was your faith when you were basically defrauding President Trump? When you tried to take his property and say it was $18 million, where was your faith then? I hate it when people lean on and talk about faith because they're trying to influence other people. When you've seen what this woman has done, when you've seen how she's acted, how she was, if that was her, how she was reading that, how she was coming across as angry and defiant instead of, did you do it? Did you do this? See, I would have spent the 2 minutes telling people either I made a mistake, which she'd never do, or I would be spending the entire 2 minutes talking about I didn't do it. I would have said, as God is my witness, I did not commit this crime. You didn't hear that. I'm going to fight. I'm defiant. I'm going to do my job. What's the rest part? You missed something? You didn't say you didn't do it. What she said was the charges are false. She's a lawyer. She's using certain language. Did you do it? My first thing was, I didn't do this. I am going to go to court. I'm going to clear my name, and I'm going to prove that I am innocent of what I've been charged with because I did not do it. That's not what she said. How did it become a Trump thing? How did you spend 2 minutes going after Trump? Trump's not going to be trying you. Trump's not going to be the one on the jury. Trump's not going to be manifesting any evidence. They're going to bring out stuff that you signed. So the allocution that you have to make, since you're bringing up faith, is, God, I made a mistake. God, I'm sorry. God, I wish I hadn't done that. But you're talking about God like he's going to give you some sort of inner strength to fight Trump. Trump is not your problem right now. But you wouldn't know it from listening to her if that was her. I don't know who that was. I don't know what that was. Who knows? But if you think that's bad, I'm going to close with this 20 seconds here that will probably leave you looking like this. A major news network is basically going to say something that would probably just, most of your jaws will absolutely drop. I'll probably have to play this twice. So let's listen.
Aside for a second, what Tish James, and again, we're still getting the details, but if it's related to this mortgage issue, I mean, this is something that everyone in America, or many people at least, if you're lucky enough to be able to buy a house in America, you deal with this, right?
I'm like, I don't think you thought this out, Casey. I don't think you meant to say this. Let her listen. You can listen to it again, and you guys can make up your mind what Casey just says here.
Aside for a second, what Tish James, and again, we're still getting the details, but if it's related to this mortgage issue, I mean, this is something that everyone in America, or many people at least, if you're lucky enough to be able to buy a house in America, you deal with this, right? The federal government doesn't go after all of these people for doing this.
Everybody does it. Seriously? You're a news network and you just said everybody who buys a house commits mortgage fraud. Well, Pam and Lindsay and gosh, you might want to go look at her because she said everybody does it. It may have been a Freudian slip that's going to cost you, girl. Everybody does it. Oh, really? I know somebody who didn't. I know somebody who's had many, many, many mortgages, hundreds of millions of dollars, who didn't. His name was Donald Trump. So I don't know exactly what you're talking about. Everybody does it. She actually said that. She actually said that. Listen again.
Aside for a second, what Tish James, and again, we're still getting the details, but if it's related to this mortgage issue, I mean, this is something that everyone in America, or many people at least, if you're lucky enough to be able to buy a house in America, you deal with this, right? The federal government doesn't go after all of these people for doing this.
I don't even know what to say. I really don't understand how those words came out of her mouth. Everyone does it. Every homeowner, oh, that should tell you right now they've lost it. They got nothing. They're running around in circles right now figuring out, oh my gosh, what do we do? What do we do? Is he really going to start arresting people? Everybody does it. Except for the guy that you tried to put in jail. So obviously, I don't want to point fingers at her, but she just kind of like convicted herself at that point, didn't she? Everybody does it. Mama Teresa's like, I didn't. No, never. I had to clip that, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you're on CNN, so you're telling me maybe across the lunchroom or something, everybody's talking about, hey, yeah, did you forge a paper on that loan there? Yeah, what'd you tell them you make? Oh, that's pretty cool. What rate did you get? Ooh. Oh my gosh. Evidently the teleprompter was broken. You guys are too funny. Oh my gosh, I'm 1 month away from paying off a 30-year mortgage. Oh yeah, I lived in my house all those years. I despise liars. Vivian, I didn't do it when I bought my house, that dumbass. It shows you what their mindset is. She's obviously, I don't know if she did it, but she must know some people. Everybody does it. Oh my gosh. These Democrats are in a... Oh, they're all crooked as dog legs. I told you. CNN said I could BS this application. Yeah, Your Honor, everybody does it. We all do it. Oh, my gosh. Oh my God. Every stupid person does it. Wow. Somebody goes, where'd that go? It says the Anchorman strikes again. Ron Burgundy. It's funny because I have to do these things and I have to do the research on it. And I sit back sometimes and go, I can't believe some of the shit I hear. I cannot believe some of the stuff that comes out of these people's mouths. And they're getting paid big money on major networks and they don't have a clue. None whatsoever. I must have done something wrong because I've never done it. On what planet? You guys are killing me. You guys are killing me. Well, anyway, Letitia James got indicted, and I'm sure there's more stuff coming. So yeah, I had to change. Let me check and see. It's 9:20. Have they posted President Trump's schedule for tomorrow? It's supposed to be Friday. It's supposed to be a slow news day on Fridays. And Ashley and I have some work planned, and we're going to start doing some different things to get ready for shows. Nope, they haven't posted. Usually it comes out about 10, so it's a little early right now. So. They called the lid at 6 p.m. All right, so nothing more until they announce the show. Yes, it's okay. You do have the ability right now to go ahead and falsify your mortgage application. You're good. CNN just told you everybody does it. We're all crooks. Everybody's doing the same stuff. Wow. That's kind of scary. That's really scary. So I hope you guys got some information, some valuable information that you can use to combat all the disinformation you're going to hear, because nobody wants to talk about what she actually did. They want to talk about why is everybody looking? Why is this a big deal? Yes, everybody does it. It's crazy town out there. See, this is the kind of stuff I see all the time, and I try to tell you guys, but it's nuts. All right, let me go through this here. Okay. This is from, where'd that go? Did I hit the button? Viking King, for the Bibles, let's spread God's word. Hey, Viking King, I talked about your friend earlier. I hope he's doing well. Viking King, who's here in the chat a lot. His good friend got shot in the head, probably the eye, and he told me his story, and I was asking everybody to please say a prayer for his friend. So I hope he's doing well. Thank you very much, and yes, we will get this to the Bibles. All right, update. Oh, there it is. I wish I had read that before I said it. Okay, update. My friend is home safe. He lost his eye. But more than that, he is home safe and doing good. Oh, God bless. Man, that absolutely sucks. Absolutely sucks. Wow. Okay, I was at the bottom. Let me go to the top. Steve James, I'm not related to that woman. Big cat. Love the background. Oh, thank you. I was kind of settling in on this one. I like it. Buddy Sanders, line a VA home loan and see what happens. Any home loan. Judy Branch, thanks, Barry. As always, a very enjoyable show. God bless you and your family. Thank you. Yvonne Berger, she lied about being married to her father. Oh, yeah, like I said, there's more stuff obviously coming, for sure. KRO, Barry, what about James' prosecution case of New Yorkers for mortgage fraud? Wow. I didn't even think about that. Wow, think about that. All the people in her career that she has prosecuted for mortgage fraud. Can't imagine if you got put in jail because of mortgage fraud up in New York. You're right. That could be huge. Cyberpilot, my man does not quit. Thanks for always putting in the time and hard work. Thank you. Mikey Starks, Barry, Mike Johnson did the same thing. And why did that go quiet? Not sure what you're referring to. But thank you. Subsir, who decides what judge, state, or court takes a case? Supposedly, okay, let me back up. You said like 3 or 4 things there. State, it was filed in Virginia. That's the jurisdiction. The court, I'm not sure which court it was, but that's based upon jurisdiction as well. The judge is supposed to be on a round-robin type of assignment. But we saw with Judge Bo Asperger that they were doing funky things because he kept getting Trump cases. So who knows? Fume Drummer. I wonder if James' interest in home in Norfolk was based on assuming she'd become the U.S. Attorney General when Harris won. Interesting. Patricia Kuhn, the more they big note and get on their high horse, the harder they fall. And since they live in mirrored houses, the backlash is shattering their lives. Agreed. Demos, what you gonna say? What you gonna do when they come for you? I want creamy, buttery sprinkles on their justice. Jules, Richmond is almost 2 hours from Norfolk. Does Big Letty have a third property in mortgage fraud? Your thoughts on the governor's race in Virginia? Richmond here. Shout out to my Virginia Patriots. There's supposedly another property that they're looking at that they didn't include in this deal. As for the governor's race, I understand that tonight they were having a debate and she got roasted. So hopefully I'll get some video on that for tomorrow. G. Fisher, they will need to build some big and tall jail cells for Big Tish and 7-foot Comey. That's funny. Bridget Cordray, how did they get away with that with Trump? I don't know. Mama Mima, I don't understand how a simple appraisal couldn't prove the worth of his property. It did. They didn't believe it. She ignored it. In fact, one of the things Trump said, they wouldn't allow him to present a defense. Remember, he kept saying it? They wouldn't even let me talk. They wouldn't let me go ahead and put my attorneys to do anything. It was railroad from the beginning. For this night, Thin Lizzy, the Holy War. I'm coming with you. I remember that. You told me that. I'm coming for it. Patricia Kuhn, Tapper always looks constipated. He digs though. He's got that face, exactly. Tania Bear, I swear I'm beyond done with the left and think their BS just had big disagreement with a friend who is very anti-Trump. It's absolutely exhausting. It is. You got to keep your strength because these people are just completely bat poop crazy. Completely crazy. Lynn Hengel, my grandfather was the president of H. Stern Jewelers in New York City for 30 years. He dealt with extremely wealthy people. He taught us so much about money. Yep, that's very good. Very good. Bridget Cordray, why is James using our tax dollars? Well, she's using New York State tax dollars. They put together a $10 million fund for her. So they knew this was coming. They put together a $10 million legal defense fund. I don't know if the people in New York know about this. I don't know how that's even legal. And Viking King, okay, that's what you're saying. Update, friend is home safe, lost his eye, but more than that, he is home safe and doing good. All right, God bless him. What a tough thing. Very tough. Hope that guy goes to jail forever. Nikki P, it's a Democrat swan song when they start pretending to be Christians. Chicago mayor did it yesterday. Yep, he did. She's doing it today. Kamala claimed faith after she mocked Christians. Getting that fire insurance, I guess. Tim McCurry, maybe AI has Letty skipped out of the country? Good point. That didn't look natural. I don't know if there's something wrong with her eyes. It was very weird. Nikki Hayes, for the Bible Fund, thank you. 2 weeks and 2 days off till I get hitched. But who's counting? And I love your real estate advice. Oh, great. Hope you guys learned a little bit about some real estate tonight, too, as well, reading in between the lines and everything. And it's funny because I've listened to some of these people on these networks, and I'm like, these people have no idea what they're talking about. They literally have no idea in terms of documentation and how easy it is to see this. I mean, they're going to publish her mortgage. You're going to see it. I showed you part of the document already. It's right there. I don't know how people can deny it. It's right there. Sue P, thank you, Barry and Mods. You bring much great content. Thank you, and keep this place peaceful. Yeah, SB is SB and the Mods SWAT really quickly. Tim McCurry, Letty knows who runs the deep state. She followed orders. A deal coming. Will she drop names? I still can't believe she went down, or she looks to go down on a $130,000 property. NPC Girl Bible Fund, thank you. Great background. Okay, I'll stick with it. Guess you guys like this. Neo, great show, Barry. More to peel on Tish Onion. She's afraid will be found out. Thank you, Barry. Fanfare team. Love this winning. Thank you guys very much. All right, so let me just check before I go and see if they've posted anything about tomorrow. I hope it's not early in the morning. I understand President Trump is leaving the country. He's going to go deal with the peace accord that they've strict or put together. Let me see. Nope, they haven't updated yet. So as soon as I find out something, I will for sure post it. Thank you guys for tuning in on a Thursday evening. Hope you guys have a great evening. And if I don't see you tomorrow, I mean, I'll try, but have a great weekend. My grandson's coming into town on Saturday. We're going to go see the Dolphins play. I can't wait to see him. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully.